Ladies and gentlemen, women and children around the world, it is time for another POS Uncensored, where we're going to bring you our recollections of just over a week ago, the National Restaurant Show put on by the National Restaurant Association. Beautiful, sunny, amazing, huge, fun, windy Chicago, Illinois. But it's not going to be just my recollections. It's going to be the man on the right-hand side of the screen, Mr. Matt Proctor. Matt, this is our second National Restaurant Show together. We certainly were better at tackling it this year than we weren't. We brought several of our partners from Paprotech to come experience what is the National Restaurant Show. We'll be talking about that in future episodes and future content as we see some of the things that they learned and did that. But today I want to specifically talk about our feelings about it. So let's start. Obviously, we get there on Saturday and we get over there, we get settled in our hotel, and we get a little bit of time to just walk through. What was your first as coming for a second time? Did anything surprise you? Did you feel better prepared? What was your first thoughts as it came to the National Restaurant Show this year?
So I definitely felt 100% more comfortable because it wasn't as overwhelming. I understood, and I think you and I did a good job of also planning it better this year and looking ahead and kind of knowing what each building had in it, and kind of you and I getting our own game plan of what we want to do with our partners and where we need to tackle. So that definitely helped, even though we were limited on Saturday at a time. We knew exactly where we wanted to go, who we wanted to talk to in that 2-3 hour window, and obviously still take in everything and kind of get a lay of the land, find out where everything is. But it's definitely growing. I feel like the show is growing every year. I felt like it was bigger this year, and that's a great thing. And I know we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, for me personally, I just felt a lot more comfortable and a little more controlled, like I could tackle things and get more things done.
Well, and I felt like, so when we got in there on our first day, we mostly just covered the North Hall, which there are three main halls: the Lakeside Hall, the South Hall, which is the largest, and the North Hall. And the North Hall had a tech zone area where a lot of the POS systems were. And I think I was trying to find last year's, and I couldn't find how many vendors were in that zone. It felt significantly bigger to me, maybe even twice as big, a lot more a lot more tech that just wasn't point of sale. I was looking through this year's list. There are 33 different businesses that had booths that were focused on some type of data or analytics. And whether it was managing how they do their P&Ls and all their finances, or managing how they do their advertising and social media and marketing, and getting things that were, I would call middleware, that could work with, some of them were focusing more on payroll, but there were a lot of those type of organizations. I don't remember having quite as many. Maybe I was a little more, because last year we just made the mistake of coming up in the middle of the South Hall, and this was smarter. We came up in the middle between the three halls, chose one hall to be in to begin with. And I think one of the things was also, it was fun for us to bring our partners along, because they don't get to be around a lot of our vendors very often. And then one of the first things we did in that North Hall was hang out with Quick POS and Ming. And Ming wasn't even there at that time, but we immediately went over and started that connection that, hey, we already know some people that are here. And I think that it gives a validity. Hey, some of the POS systems in fact, several of the POS systems we work with are spending significant amount of time, energy, and money to be at this show. And these are people that we're representing. I think that gives a little confidence to our partners. What do you think, Matt?
Oh yeah, you hit the nail on the head, buddy. I agree. I mean, they just absolutely were thrilled to be able to meet Lala and the Ming team, the Quick team that first day.
Yeah, Ming. I don't think Ming would. It's the Ming team that also knows Quick.
It is the Ming team. The fact that we got to have dinner, with Ming and her team, I think that really helped the partners too, to be able to sit and engage with them. And not just talk business, but talk to them about kids and family, and just get to know them on a personal level. But I agree with you, Nate. There were a lot of third-party softwares, like you said, everything from payroll to taxes to their social media, and how they can help grow these businesses. And so not only are they there wanting to meet with business owners and restaurant groups around the world, but they also want to partner with all those point of sale companies that are right there. And I don't remember there being a big tech area blocked off like that last year. Yeah. But I think they did a darn good job with that. And we saw point of sales that weren't in that area, and I bet they're already fighting next year to get over in that spot. It's pretty cool.
And I think it's a great spot for our sales partners, because not only can you sell merchant services, not only can you sell a point of sale that runs a restaurant, in this case, we're focusing on restaurants, not only can you, but then you can become someone who's selling some HR services where you're managing recruitment and time and talent and all the things that go into that. There are several companies that are doing that, and they already, a lot of them tie into our POS systems or are coming to our POS systems, but you're also then bringing another value add and a lot of them provide another revenue piece. Some of these places are offering between 20, and we're going to start presenting this to you. We're working on how we're going to put it together. It'll be third quarter, middle to late third quarter when we get all this out there. But talking about these other companies that aren't specifically payments related, but they are connected to the point of sale side, and they may be another engine of money, because some of these are offering, one of them was offering 40% on the recurring. And their average restaurant was paying $200 a month. That's another, $80 a month of residual on top of what you're already making. Eventually that becomes another revenue stream, another value add, and all these restaurants are looking for ways to save time and energy when it comes to some of these things, like managing their social media or managing their payroll and their time and talent and their ordering and their scheduling and all that stuff that goes into that. I think those are good contacts, and I look forward to reporting back, hopefully in the next several months, how our partners have built those relationships and started selling some of those value adds on top of what we're selling at point of sale. And as I saw, what you sell doesn't always mean how you make your money. We're always going to make our money on helping people process those dollars through cards. But at the end of the day, you may be selling something different, or the thing that gets you different and sets you apart. And certainly it was not hidden on the show floor that people were going. Toast had a giant booth, but it was amazing to me how vocal and outright people were like, this is how you can replace Toast. And then you look to your right, and Toast has a 40 by 80 booth over here. What was your take on Toast? They're the big gorilla in our. They're a valiant competitor. We're trying to show that we are as competitive, and we know we are, and make sure that our partners are presenting us in a way. But what was your take on Toast and some of the other? Square was there as well, obviously major sponsors, but being in kind of the lion's den when it comes to our competitors right there. Any takeaways on that?
Yes, their booth was very impressive. I find it funny. Toast obviously is a great software. We all know that. They've integrated with so many different third parties. And now one by one, they're kind of pissing them all off. And I find that funny as I talk to some of these third parties, and Toast is now replacing them and kind of building it themselves. But they didn't want to do that at first. So it was quick and easy to bring on a third party to integrate with. And now they're doing everything internally. But it was good to look at. I didn't want to actually go in their booth because I went stuck talking to a Toast person, too long. But I was definitely checking out and looking at the kiosk and different things they were rolling out. It surprised me that Squirrel was still there, that they're still even around. There were some systems, Nate, you and I'd never heard of. I mean, I'd say there were several systems that I just had never heard of, and so that was kind of fun to look in them, see what's going on. Order Counter was there, which I think is a phenomenal software. I'm still working on a possible partnership there, but yeah, as far as Toast, it's all about learning, guys. We want to see their statements. We want to see, so we make sure we're constantly competing with
Well, I was extremely I was encouraged that I felt like when it came to features that are being developed by some of the biggest players in the restaurant space, our partners are very quickly, not no pun intended with quick being one of them, integrating and gaining those new features and making sure that they're on the cutting edge just as the others are, and that their value adds are that you're not just one of the 100,000, you're one of the 5 to 10,000, and you're getting better service, better support. And it's something, obviously, for our sales partners, it's something you can sell, because we did have our partners go to the Toast booth and they're glad to give you a referral and, hey, we'll give you $250, thanks for bringing the restaurant to us, but that's all you get, versus bring that same restaurant and work with Quick, and you're going to make $100,000 over the next 2 years with that merchant because of the volumes they're processing. And you're just like, these aren't apples to apples. And what's interesting is Toast, I did sit and talk to Toast because I wanted to see if they even noticed. Like, obviously one of our competitors, Heartland, had a booth. I knew if I walked in with my PayProtech badge, they're going to notice that. They're at least they may not know who PayProtech is, but they're going to see the name PayProtech and know it has something to do on their merchant services side of the business. Toast had no idea that people could sell, had no idea. I asked the person, do you ever offer anything way to develop any residuals on basis on the profit on the margin? And they have no idea that business even exists because it's not in their world. And really? I kind of left in my head and I said to myself and Matt, I said, man, I want in a couple of years that to be in their world, because we're losing so much business to those of us, not just PayProtech, but all of us who are coming together and our POS systems that are working, and realize that there is a way to support the small business paymentpreneurs that we call ourselves, that are going out and selling and serving small and medium businesses, and that they are creating such a havoc for Toast that they notice they're losing business to the little bitty small merchant processors over here. They know they're fighting against First Data. They know they're fighting against Clover and those, but they, I think, are starting to realize, I hope, I want them to start to realize that they have other competitors out there. We aren't even raising to enough that their sales reps even know that they're fighting against it. They don't understand, but we're going to bring that to we're going to fight. And that's something I learned. Now let's pivot all the way to food. Okay. This is something that is important, and maybe the most important thing to restaurants, but it's the thing we deal with the least. We don't walk in and say you should change your menu to this, but I think it is something we could eventually add some value add. And one thing about being National Restaurant Show is you're actually seeing some of the newest food things, because you get to go to like the Startup Alley. I know that you've been working with one there. I'm kind of teeing you up on that one. But there are other food things, anything around food that you thought, man, these are interesting, and this would be something that I would like to bring to my independent restaurants that I'm working with and that our partners are working with.
Well, I know last year we were kind of blown away with how many things they had in that vegan organic, area, because that's such a big market now. And even if the restaurant is not focusing on that, they have items on their menu that are they're meant for gluten-free, vegan, things like that. Um, it honestly surprised me. Some of the international stuff, Nate, surprised me. I don't think you were with me. I was with a couple of our partners, but um, a lot from Asia, and being able to see what they, had coming out and what new things that they're rolling out in some of their products. And we had some sweets that were probably the weirdest thing I'd ever put in my mouth, but they tasted good. And so we were kind of learning about new products. And there, I talked to one person. They're like, yeah, this is huge in these states, and this is really picking up in all these restaurants. It's like, okay, well, cool. Maybe I'll run into that in the future. Um, and then, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised over in the healthy, organic, vegan area that there were several real meat places because they wanted to be there because they wanted to focus that everything they do is organic. So that was kind of a nice surprise as we're having these amazing, artesian or artisan, however you want to pronounce it, cheeses and meats and things like that in that area. So that was pretty good. And then of course, hot honey. That was a nice little surprise too.
Well, I think especially when going to shows like this and connecting, what I'm encouraging our partners to do is connect smaller startup food, like the dip the hot honey from Detroit, and you're going to be able to connect them to a restaurant that they may not have been able to get into, that they may not have the connection. They're just trying to get started. And it may be something that, and in this case, it was something that tasted and had a unique flavor that we thought was very special, and introduce them to your restaurants and bring one more value add. And you never know when that may be turned around, because it was interesting. Some places, like I was talking, we'll do a rollout, I think, with them. We're working on everything with them, but a third party that specifically focused a lot on making sure on customer management and being a third party and not allowing just the POS. Because a lot of times, hey, great, you can use Toast because they plug into, and then you do all your emails and your text messages and all, and then they own all your data. And they were this particular company and a couple others were saying, hey, make sure your manager. And the first thing this lady, as I was talking to her about 10 minutes into our conversation, one of our partners was with me. She's like, hey, a lot of times I have restaurants that know they are on an old POS. Would you be interested in being a referral buyer? I was like, that is what our partner, and I said, not me, but I pointed to Kurt, who was next to me, but our sales partners. That's the kind of relationship we want to have. And that can come with food, that can come with software, that can come with menu boards. I mean, that was a big thing we were pointing out. 14 different companies on the show floor that were focused on doing menu boards and were independent of the POS. A lot of the POS have their own menu boards. You can just go buy your TV and it's integrated, like Mint has that, but some of ours don't. Yep. And they did some unique things on menu boards. Menu boards is one of them that stood out to me that a lot of our partners are talking about. Were there other things that our partners were talking to, other types of businesses that you are like intrigued to see if there's going to be any referral partnership that grows out of that as you watched our partners interact here at the National Restaurant Show?
Yeah, I think some of our partners made some great connections. A couple of them were with third-party softwares, where they can also sell that as a value add, because you brought up a great point, Nate. It's all about that value add. It's if I can bring that value to just by something like hot honey, which I was not even a huge fan of, but this guy's an amazing product. If I can help some of my local businesses here, well, then that's just one more thing I'm helping them with, and they're going to keep me in mind when it's time to switch the POS system and when they need something else, because I'm a regular there. But I think our partners. We're also very intrigued by some of the new, kiosks that are available, obviously, and menu boards, but then hardware. Seemed like our partners were really excited about so many hardware options. All right. So every company has these different handhelds. What do they look like? Do they have a printer? No printer? What's the functionality? How's the chip reader work on that? They're very excited about that. They're excited about our quick POS and how they're rolling out a different handheld utilizing MagTech. So that was one thing that was nice. And I think our partners had some good connections, especially in that kind of startup area and some of those smaller businesses. We could have spent probably 2 more days there just in that area.
Yep. It was so much fun. And on top of that, we mentioned we had dinner with Quick. We also Cluster didn't have a booth there, but they were there in presence. They took us, our partners, out to dinner, and then we ended up going out afterwards to the Barstool River North location. And Stacy Carrillo from, I just want to remind you, we played 4 total games of foosball. I am 3-1, just in case you're watching that later. But we had a lot of fun. We got to have that engagement that we don't get to have. One night, we had several wonderful meals, obviously with Quick and with Cluster, but also, one night we had a little free time after the show floor closed before our dinner. And in fact, Matt wasn't able to be with us. He was doing something else, but we were able to go out in Lake Michigan and sit. Our feet are in the sand. We are drinking a cocktail and looking at the water. We sent a nice picture to remind you what you were missing because you weren't able to be with us at that time. And it's just awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It,
absolutely. So, and it was beautiful. I mean, the weather while we were there, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
that the night with Cluster was fun. It was good for all the partners to be able to interact with each other too, and they got to meet more of our partners at that dinner, and then they came with us, to the bar stool. You
yep.
remember my bouncer, right? The big bouncer at the front door. His name is Blue.
Blue. Hey.
You're my boy, Blue.
Hey, we had a great time. Next year it's May 17th through 20th. I was just looking at it. It's come. I fully expect we're going to try to do even a bigger event where we have a little more formal connection and invite people to come to the National Restaurant Show. And as I've been to multiple of these trade shows in the last decade and going to more of these, this is the one I look at for those who want to focus on restaurants. It's so over focused and over indexed on restaurant. It makes it perfect for us because even though we have a little bit of competitors there,
Yeah.
they're a small percentage and everything is focused on restaurant. There's great food. There's great. And you're also, the other thing I encouraged our partners to do, and we'll learn more of what they learned as over time, is all these people are selling to restaurants too. So learn from them because they're, the people that
Yeah.
were at every booth, 90% of them only sell to restaurants. You have some of the food that do have direct to consumer or other types of that, but most of them are literally doing the exact same thing we're doing, going into a restaurant, building a relationship, making a connection, and helping say, hey, we're going to come alongside you and help fix this need. In our case, it's usually merchant services and pricing and point of sale, and they're coming with a variety of other ways, and we're all going after that same holy grail, the restaurant, and trying to help them. And it's a great learning experience. Any closing thoughts on the National Restaurant Show? We'll be talking about it, and we'll be kind of weaving in and out of our conversations over the weeks and months to come. But as we finish our recap of the 2024 National Restaurant Show at McCormick Place, beautiful Chicago, Illinois, any closing thoughts, Matt?
I actually agree with you, buddy. As far as the show size, and obviously you and I go to tons of these events and shows, um, the amount of connections that you can make at the National Restaurant Association is just astonishing. And you know what? Yes, it is geared 100% towards restaurants, but it also has every major point of sale software that's out there. Okay, the who's who of point of sale is there at the show. And yes, a lot of them also do retail and restaurant. Of course, they're not talking about that at this show, but it's a great learning experience. And I really hope we get more of you partners there this next year. Let's blow it up. Let's make it a bigger event. Let's help you grow your business. And that's what Nate and I want to help with.
Yep.
So yeah,
And
lots of fun.
and my closing thought is I think unfortunately we were there for 3 nights and my watch kept dying. So I calculated that I did over 87,000 steps, but my watch died several times. I'm pretty sure I went over 100,000. And I was just reading their press release, and this is how they say the show floor spanned over 723,400 square feet. That's over 12 football fields of our 2,300 vendors that had booths. There's not a larger restaurant show. There's lots of regional ones, and that's actually something that I'm going to try to get involved with this in the next year too, is learning how we could also get involved in these regional ones and help you guys support and what things you can do. But if you're going to bang for your buck for doing it, you get to spend a couple days in May in Chicago. I can't think of anything better if you're going to sell to restaurants to help you enriching yourself, help connect yourself, and help to expand and grow and multiply your current portfolio. Couldn't imagine anything better. And you get to hang out with PaperTech people like Matt Proctor. What else can you ask for?
We have a good time in Chicago. Always do.
All right. On behalf of Matt Proctor, I'm Nate Manahan. This has been POS Uncensored. We'll see you next time right here on the my PaperTech YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment anything you need. We're here for you. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time on POS Uncensored.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.